Why the Satanic Temple's after-school programs deserve a standing ovation over Christian alternatives. In the tug-of-war over children's after-school time, two players have emerged on opposite ends of the ideological spectrum. Christian after-school programs, like the ubiquitous Good News Clubs and the Satanic Temple's after-school Satan Clubs, ASSC. On the surface, it's easy to see why parents might gravitate toward the familiar embrace of Christian programs, tradition, community, and a promise of moral grounding. But dig a little deeper, and the sheen wears off fast. Christian after-school programs, often tied to churches with a laundry list of scandals, are starting to look less like a safe haven and more like a gamble with your kids' well-being. Meanwhile, the Satanic Temple's offerings, with their focus on reason, empathy, and zero tolerance for dogma, are a breath of fresh air in a world suffocating under religious baggage. Let's start with the elephant in the room, the Christian Church's track record. For decades, headlines have screamed about sex scandals and pedophile priests, and the numbers are staggering. In the U.S. alone, a 2004 church-commissioned report found over 4,000 Roman Catholic priests faced sexual abuse allegations involving more than 10,000 children over 50 years. That's not a one-off. It's a pattern. From the Boston Globe's Spotlight investigation to the 2018 Pennsylvania grand jury report detailing 300 predator priests and over 1,000 victims, the Catholic Church has shown a knack for covering up abuse rather than confronting it. And it's not just Catholics. Protestant denominations have their own skeletons, with cases popping up from Presbyterian missionaries to evangelical mission fields. When you send your kid to a church-based after-school program, you're rolling the dice on whether the adult in charge is a saint or a predator cloaked in sanctity. It's almost like parents are unwittingly signing up their kids for a lottery where the prize is trauma. Contrast that with the Satanic Temple's after-school Satan clubs. These programs don't come with a legacy of hushed-up scandals or a hierarchy scrambling to protect its own. The Temple, a non-theistic organization, doesn't worship Satan. Let's get that out of the way. Satan to them is a symbol of rebellion against tyranny, not a deity demanding blind faith. Their clubs emphasize critical thinking, science, and empathy, steering clear of the guilt trips and eternal damnation threats that Christian programs like the Good News Clubs lean on. The Good News curriculum, by the way, reportedly mentions sin over 5,000 times and hell more than 250, drilling into kids that they're inherently wicked unless they conform. That's not education. It's indoctrination with a side of fear. The ASSC, on the other hand, offers games, projects, and a space where kids can question the world without being fed answers from a 2,000-year-old book. The irony is thick. Christian programs claim moral superiority while their parent institutions drown in hypocrisy. Take the Vatican, which sat on a backlog of 2,000 sex abuse cases as recently as 2017, or the countless dioceses that shuffled abusive priests around like chess pieces instead of turning them over to the law. The Satanic Temple, for all its provocative branding, has no such baggage. They're not perfect. Nobody is. But they're not hiding a systemic rot behind stained glass. Their transparency and focus on secular values make them a safer bet for parents who actually care about their kids' mental and physical health. And let's talk practicality. The ASSC only sets up shop where Christian clubs like the Good News already operate, a cheeky nod to equal representation under the law. If the Christians packed up and went back to their churches, the Satanists wouldn't even be there. But since the Supreme Court ruled in 2001 that religious groups can use public schools after hours, the Temple's stepping in to balance the scales. They're not proselytizing. They're offering an alternative, something parents should be clamoring for given the alternative's rap sheet. Sure, the name After School Satan raises eyebrows, and that's the point. It forces us to question why we're so comfortable handing our kids over to one religious group with a documented history of abuse, yet recoil at another that's never been linked to such horrors. If the choice is between a program tied to institutions that have sheltered pedophiles and one that champions reason over reverence, I'm Team Satan every time. Parents dragging their kids to church-based events might as well be playing Russian roulette with their safety. The Satanic Temple's clubs aren't just a middle finger to the pious, they're a lifeline for kids who deserve better than the church's tainted legacy. By Scott Young, aka Sinfamous Gamer, Mar 9, 2025,